Okay, this recipe is really simple, and I decided to do it in a video form so you could just see that there's so many things you can do. We'll start with the cheeses, okay? You can use any of these cheeses that you want, like any cheese. As long as it's a melty cheese, you can use it. So like, you can use Gouda, it's gonna change the flavor notes. You can use sharp cheddar, it's gonna make it have a richer flavor. You can use a cheddar blend, which is gonna make it have just a regular, like cheesy flavor. You can use the Fiesta blend, and that has different kinds of like Mexican cheeses in it. And so it's gonna make it have a lighter cheesy flavor. And then of course, you can use white cheddar. And then my personal favorite, because it melts really good, is the Velveeta shreds. And I don't have a whole lot of it, so I'm trying to decide which one I want to mix with it when I start. I'll let you know in a few minutes. But you're gonna need 1 cup of cheese to 1 cup of broccoli, 1 cup of cottage cheese, and then you're gonna need 2 cups of broth. So next thing we're gonna go on to, so there's, any cheese will work. You can do any cheese. And then broths. My personal favorite is bone broth. It adds nutritional value and protein and just gives you a healthier aspect to your soup. Plus, a lot of them have less salt or sodium. So like this one has 330 milligrams per cup, and you're gonna be using 2 cups of your broth. So that's gonna be, for the whole pot, it's gonna add 660 milligrams of sodium. So you'll wanna get a low sodium or something like that, because the cheese itself also has sodium in it. And that's what I'll go through and look at here in a minute before I pick what cheese I'm going to use. I'm going to get the lowest sodium cheese, and I should have mentioned that when I was talking about the cheese. But then you've got, bouillons. The Knorr ones are good. They have a lot of sodium, 820 milligrams per cup. And this is my next favorite. So if I don't have bone broth, this is the next one that I'm going to use. And I have about a half a thing of bone broth because I made homemade chicken noodle soup yesterday. So then there is this one, and I want to say it has 510 milligrams per cup. Actually, you use a teaspoon in the directions to make 1 cup, I believe. Yes. So this one has 500, this one has 510, and it's my next go-to because it's the next lowest in sodium. And then of course, here's a Knorr one that's chicken, and it has as many as this Knorr one. And then there's the one that most people have in their cabinet, which is a Weiler's or something that's a block like this. And you do have to dissolve the block in water first to make your broth. And you dissolve 1 cube into 1 cup of water. And the sodium, it looks like 800. Yes, per cup. So your best bet is definitely to go with a bone broth or the reduced sodium ones. These I'm putting back up in the cabinet because I will not be using them. But if I do need extra, then I will be using this one. And then you've got your broccolis. You can buy any kind of broccoli you want. I've learned that our local grocery store has chopped broccoli in the freezer section, so I chose chopped broccoli. It's frozen, and it has low sodium, 15 milligrams per serving. So, and you're going to use a cup of broccoli. And I usually just kind of go by weight, so I will do like 12 ounces is 8 ounces is a cup, so that's 12 ounces. So I'm going to need at least 2 of these for 3 cups of soup. And one serving, not serving, one recipe makes 2 servings. And then, so then you're gonna need cottage cheese. I'm gonna move it over here because the dishwasher's right here and it's been running this morning. I didn't want my cottage cheese to get hot. Here's the cottage cheese I'm using. It has, how much sodium? 480 milligrams per half a cup. So that means it's gonna add like 960 milligrams just to do 1 cup of cottage cheese. So when you're looking at ingredients, just kind of be mindful of your sodiums because it will taste really salty if you're not careful. But you know, soups do have a lot of sodium, so you don't want to cut it too much also. But you don't have to add any salt. That's the only ingredients we're using is shredded cheese, cottage cheese, broccoli, and broth. Okay? And then my favorite go-to is this one because I can blend everything in my pot with my immersion blender. I love it. I use it all the time. For the purposes of the soup that you're making, Sean said you had a blender, so I will be using the Ninja to show you how to do that today. I'm going to measure everything out, get it in the blender, and then I'll be back after my pause. Okay, for the purposes of showing you my method, because I'm a little weirdo, I do weight for the cheese. So 8 ounces is a cup. You can see it on your measuring cup somewhere. I think it'll tell you that 8 ounces is a cup. I just do the equivalency in cheese. So I have an 8-ounce bag here. It is the lowest one in sodium, so that's what I'm going to go with. And I'm going to pour it in. And then what I'm going to do is scoop the cottage cheese into my measuring cup. And then I'm going to put the bone broth in my measuring cup to rinse out my cup so that I'm not dirtying up a whole bunch of dishes, because I'm not a huge fan of dirtying up a whole bunch of dishes. So I'll be back in just a little bit and I'll show you what it looks like. But I just put the whole bag in. I don't even measure it. If it says 8 ounces, it's good. If you're gonna double this recipe, because y'all guys will probably need 3 bags of cheese, 2 bags of broccoli if the broccoli is a 12-ounce bag. And I use frozen broccoli. It's honestly as good as regular because they stick it in the bag and they flash freeze it. So it's as good as fresh. And sometimes fresh goes bad in the refrigerator before I get around to making the broccoli soup. So, the broccoli cheddar soup. So, frozen is always a good option to go with. And I'm going to go ahead and put this in so you can see. I'm going to pause for a minute. So when I come back, it'll all be ready to go. Okay, so this is what it looks like. If I'm just making some for me and Grandma, there will be like this much in my measuring cup. Okay, if I'm making enough for everybody in the house, then I just use, look, 24 ounces right there. Booyah, baby. Okay, so that's 3 times the recipe, if that makes sense. Okay, and then I don't have to put it in here to measure it out. I just put it all in my blender. But my blender's kind of stubby too. It's short and stubby. So the other thing to that is that your blender's taller, so you might be able to do this in more than one batch at a time, one recipe at a time. You might be able to triple it and still fit everything in your blender. I can't do that, which is another reason why I like my immersion blender, because I can just pour it all into my pot over here, plug the immersion blender in, and it up in the pot while it's cooking. So I will be back in just a moment. Okay, this is the first cup. And the other reason why I add the liquids in last is because when you start plopping stuff in, it makes a huge mess. So then I just add the liquids in last in the blender. It keeps me from making a huge mess, because I'm not a huge fan of messes, and I can make messes rather easily if I'm not careful. And so I used to make everything from scratch. And I used to be like 178, between 178 and 184 pounds. And that's my healthy weight. I know my doctors still say, well, that categorizes you as still obese, but you know what? I look healthy. I feel good. I can manage my everything. So this is what I was telling you about with my blender getting full. This is just one recipe. So this is just recipe times 1, not times 3, which you're going to want to do recipe times 3, but this is just recipe times 1. And then I have to put this on here like this. Oops. Pull. I have to get it on here right. There we go. Got to get it on there right so that it does its thing. I'm going to pause while I blend so that you can see what it looks like. This is what it looks like before. And then this is what it looks like after, before you put it in the pot. So, oops. Come over here to the pot. And mine made a little bit of a mess that I'm going to have to clean up on my blender. That's the other reason why I don't use the blender anymore, I think. And I just use the immersion tool. Okay, so I'm going to set my phone right here. And hopefully you can see me pour this into the pot. Because when you pour it out, it's all blended and liquidy and smooth. So you just pour it in there. I'm making broccoli cheddar soup. Broccoli cheddar soup.
That's what I like.
I know you like it.
I was going to tell you that I've lost my dark blue new top.
No, you haven't. I put it on your bed the other day with your pants. Did you stick it in your drawer with your night pants?
With my what pants?
With your night pants.
Oh, I could have.
It was sitting right by your night pants. Like, it was your night pants, your blue top, another pair of night pants, and your jeans.
Okay, well, it probably is in there then.
Okay.
I was just looking for it. I couldn't find it this morning.
Gotcha. Minor interlude there. I hope you did watch me pour that in, but that's what it looks like in the pot. So then you will turn your pot on. Hold on, let me get this put up. Set this back over here because I got a mess over here. I got to clean up from this thing. Anyway, so then you'll turn your pot on, and add your broccoli. So I'm gonna do that real quick. Oops, I don't want it on high because I don't want to scorch it. So this is a low and slow. I'm going to turn it on 4 to get it warming up. And go ahead and add I'm going to warm up my chopped broccoli too. I like to microwave my chopped broccoli and then add it into the soup so that I don't have to wait for it to be thawed in the pot. So that's what I'm going to do. That's the reason why I get the frozen, because it's already it's ready to go. 5 minutes and it's ready. So I'll be back in a couple. Okay, now once you're done blending everything up, this is what it should look like for 3 recipes. So recipe times 3 is going to give you about a little under a half of a pot before you put the broccoli in. Okay, and this pot's huge. It's like a 12 cup or 12 quart, something like that. I don't know. It's just one of those really big ones compared to... Okay, so this is your standard your standard size pot, like what Sean has on the camper, that's the regular pot, not the other pot, his pot that he has. It's like that one. This one is like bigger, so it makes, like, in this little pot, it would fill it to where the buttons are, almost right there where the buttons are. It would fill it up to like right there in this pot. In this pot, there's still quite a bit of room before you get to the buttons because it's bigger. So I always use my bigger pot. And the broccoli is warmed up and it's not frozen anymore. So then all I do after I've been slowly warming this, I put it on like a 3, 4, it says medium low heat in the recipe. And so, I mean, anytime you're cooking anything, and I used my potato soup recipe originally to make this recipe. So, in the potato soup recipe, it keeps it from getting the milk from scorching. And so it's got cottage cheese and cheese in it, and you don't want it to scorch. So, and I don't want it to burn to the bottom because that gives it a burnt flavor. And I'm a little weirdo. Anyway, so then after you add in your chopped broccoli, then you just stir it all together. And, you know, stirring occasionally for 15 to 25 minutes lets the cheese melt really good and the broccoli to impart its flavor, and then it's ready. And that's it. I mean, it's real simple. I know it probably looked hard when I was doing it, maybe, because I don't like to make a mess, maybe. I don't know. But I just thought I would show you my method of doing things and the way that I do it, and maybe that would make it easy for you. So, I'm going to send this to you before it gets too long. And then I will attach the actual recipe.